Hello, viewers, and welcome to another edition of SS Insights Company Watch. My name is Matthew McNeil, and I'm the Director of SS Insight, as well as Investment Advisor. I'm honoured today to have Fran Killoway from Frasil Group join us to discuss Frasil and its amazing artificial intelligence technology. So firstly, thank you for joining us, Fran.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fran, can you introduce yourself to us and the listeners?
Sure. I'm 68. I'm politically incorrect. I've got a great sense of humour. I love what I do, and I am proud to be an Australian, and more proud than anything that it's an Aussie that's built this for the world.
What is Frasil?
Sure. Frasil is a technology that is cutting edge, and fundamentally it works for all people with most disabilities who can use it on most devices. It gives choice irrespective of a physical or cognitive disability, and it's more important that what we use it for is that it allows them to have a breaks down the communication problems at the moment, and it also allows them this huge amount of choice that they've never had before. Imagine this morning if you woke up and you needed to pee and you couldn't. So the technology is built to say, I need to pee now. And fundamentally, at the click of a button on just about every device for any level of dexterity or cognitive disability, you can in fact actually let someone know that you want to pee, or you're cold, or you need to go outside, or whatever the situation is. So it's an amazing piece of technology that has been developed for people who live with disabilities anywhere in the world.
Wonderful. Can you tell us how did it come about?
It's a long story and a sad story, but about 12 years ago, my girlfriend developed motor neuron disease. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a sad disease. It's awful. It takes away a person's ability to talk, to move, to do anything. And to watch that family trying to exist by exchanging post-it notes was just horrendous. I'm not sure if it was more horrendous for her or it was more horrendous for her family who couldn't give her what she wanted. So as a friend, I made her a promise that I would deliver her a technology that would have changed that situation for her. Sadly, though, I lost her long before we got even close to building it. So 10 years later, it's dedicated really to her and to all the people in the world who don't have the same privileges that we do.
Fran, I'm fascinated by the name. Can you tell us if it has meaning and how you came to choose it?
That's a really interesting story. A very dear friend of mine and a great philanthropist of this country, Frasil Group, has supported me since the early 2000s and supported me in a way that most people wouldn't. He believed in it, he believed in what I was doing, and he stuck by me all this time when most people told us it simply couldn't be done. And so the name is a combination of Fran and Basil.
Fran, who are those who would use Frasil and how will it benefit them?
Most people with most disabilities can use it. It gives them a voice, it gives them a choice, it gives them access to the internet that normal people like us take for granted. But most importantly, it's a bit like that old cliche of America, where they say it's not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. And I think that's part of the philosophy that drives me, because what's really important is that the technology allows us to see what people can actually do with a disability, what they're capable of, what they have to offer the world, instead of the world telling them how they should live.
Thinking about the product, do you have any thoughts to why something like Frasil has not been built by someone else?
That's a particularly difficult question to answer, because I actually have no idea why people haven't done it. What I can tell you is that 10 years and a lot of pain and a lot of heartache, we've now got it built. But the most important thing to remember is that Deloitte is a very big technology company, apart from being an accounting firm, and it's taken them 18 months to work out how to get this first level done. It's got cutting edge technology, it's frames, it's simple front end is the AI, and it's really sophisticated artificial intelligence and machine learning. Sitting behind it is a massive database. So it will give an investor, for example, a leading edge and a cutting edge in the marketplace for a very, very long time to come because of the deep pipeline that we have. And because we care about our users, the feedback that comes back to us always allows us to understand their next set of needs. So we will always stay ahead of the marketplace.
Okay, thank you for that, Fran. So what sets Frasil apart from any other options for people living with disabilities out there?
The simplicity of the front end that I just described, it's amazing. It's just a simple set of boxes to the outside world, and essentially you can actually decide, excuse me, if you want one box or up to 8 boxes at a time. So it splits the cognitive capacity of a client to in fact actually use it. It breaks down barriers to communication. It allows people to become contributing members of their community. But most importantly, it's really cost effective because we deliver everything that they need on one device for one low cost. And that's the most important thing. And that's the thing that will ensure that it continues to grow and it will stay sustainable from an investor's point of view. And not only from the investor, but also for the person who actually uses it.
So Fran, what is the global potential for Frasil?
It's really interesting. We're a .com site, so we release straight away to the global market. And at the moment, the registered number of people with disabilities is 1.3 billion people. But what we've done is ignored that number, and we've got an immediate reach to 2 to 3 million rather. And the way that we've done that is that we have our own CRM systems in here, and we've spent the last 2 years building the market reach that we want. So if you talk, say, the 52 states, if you think of it as 52 states of the US, we can turn you right down to a single city and a single town inside each of those cities, how many people were registered on the last census that are actually disabled. And because of our sophisticated systems in here, over the next 2 to 5 years, we can ensure that we reach every single one of them. So the marketplace, our low-hanging fruit, from our first run to market is somewhere between 2 to 3 million people. So we actually chase them in batches of 100,000 at a time because we believe that if we get the marketing correct, then essentially that's our reach.
Thanks, Fran. I really enjoyed understanding more about that. What is the launch plan for Frasil?
The launch plan is a .com. It concentrates on the 5 I's, the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and India. And India, of course, isn't one of the 5 I's, but it's one of the biggest and the fastest emerging markets in Asia with English-speaking people. We have a direct relationship with disability organisations in most of those countries. Essentially, we are a global company, so we will go out from day one to the world. We have a very strong focus already existing in Australia. But that will be a specifically targeted area. But at the same time, we have a deliberate target into the US and into the UK in particular, as we're very familiar with both of those markets. We have an office in the US or a location in the US, as you know, as we work from. And so essentially, we've had a long relationship with Dr. Thomas Reichert from the Boston Consulting Group. And so essentially, with a lot of help from him, we've been able to really focus in on who we have to market to and how we're going to turn those marketing numbers into actual sales.
Fran, we heard you explain Frasil is a .com. Can you help viewers understand what that means?
Sure. A .com means that basically we're going to release the technology to the globe. So there is no one that can't use it. And one of the things that's coming from my social media, which we've been building up over the last month, and we've got an extraordinary following for, which is really amazing, on Instagram and Facebook and on LinkedIn. And essentially we've got a huge interest from just about everywhere in the world. But at the moment, our focus will be on English-speaking countries, the 5 I's, for obvious reasons, because we want to ensure that our security is in place and that we take care and respect the needs of people living with disabilities, that we respect the rules around that at the same time as we must respect the rules of delivery that each country expects us to do in terms of people's privacy and their data. So there's a lot of reasons for why it is a .com site. We can't prevent a person living with a disability using it, nor would I want to. However, we are focused as a marketing exercise on those 6 countries. But on top of that, we're quite happy to allow other people to use it. Over time, in the next 2 years, it will be released in 65 languages. So it allows us to basically download it, no training's required. And in doing that, we can collect information from countries like Spain and Europe, etc., South Africa, America, blah, blah, blah. And we can, in fact, actually then make it very aesthetically pleasing to each of those groups of people.
Fran, can you give us an insight into the revenue model for Frasil?
Sure. We've decided that the best way of delivering this was to give everybody the opportunity to afford it. And the easiest way to do that is on a subscription model. So essentially we use subscription, and at the moment on the tablet, it's $1 a day. On the phone, it will be from Friday, $2 US a day. And there's all sorts of free trials and discounts and things like that. And it has in-app purchases as you go. It's also got the ability to earn through management software for disability organisations. So we white label and we share that revenue both with them, obviously, and with other organisations. So it's a great way for the company to give back to the disability support groups who actually help us, and also to allow them to get their information out so other people can benefit from their experience. And ultimately, though, the real value is in data for government, because we offer better and more efficient services. For example, in the pension schemes, the NDIS, the American pension, that sort of thing, they allow quite a lot of money for technology. But if you think about Frasil, for example, at the moment, for as little as $2 a day, if you go the phone route, the cost of a phone to purchase outright, and you don't have to buy the top of the line, you can buy a reasonably good phone for up to $500. And you can, in fact, actually get your internet for a year, and you spent little more than $1,200, nothing like the $5,000 that's currently allocated at the moment. So from a government perspective, and it also gives them 24/7 virtual real-time feedback on the services that the actual providers are giving to the users. So for groups like the pensions, the NDIS, all that sort of thing, they can actually check and see that their money is in fact actually being given to the right people, being the person with a disability, who in turn is in fact receiving the service that they're entitled to from the service providers. And ultimately, they can also, it'll help protect them against abuse and things like that, people stealing their bank accounts and so on. So the advantages of the technology from a revenue point of view are a lot. There's a lot of them, but that's enough to start off with.
So you were doing a capital raising. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The fundraising is the next stage of the Frasil growth, and it does two things only. We're extremely focused. We're very, very good at running things on a very fine budget line. So the money that we're raising is to launch to market, and we have extremely targeted programs that have spent months being put into place, and we have to deliver a development pipeline that will keep us at the marketing edge for a very long time to come. We believe in creating high barriers to our competitors, and as such, in doing that, we've given all our competitors free real estate on our website for a purpose, and that is so that when people come into the technology, if they use a competitor, we can in fact actually follow that and see what the advantages of that competitor are, and if there are reasons for us to put it into our site. So at the end of the day, the funding is all about simply improving the product in line with the user's requirements, because remember, our users have one-to-one feedback with us, because the system isn't one size for all, it's one size for each person. And so therefore, the collaborative nature of that on a global scale means that we can really keep this technology at the leading edge.
What kind of person might be interested to invest in Frasil?
I think the thing I've learned from Mr. Sellers, who's one of Australia's greatest philanthropists, is that the first thing that you do is you've got to feel good about it. And so it's simply a good thing to do. However, we also understand that in today's day and age, making money and making your money work for you is important. So the thing to remember about Frasil, it is an emerging market. It's got an extremely high growth potential. It's no longer a concept. It's no longer a commercial application. It's now fully industrialised and ready for lease and ready to earn revenue. The outcome of that will be either an IPO or a trade sale. So essentially, from an investment point of view, it's an opportunity to do both, to feel good about something that you're doing and make sure that that something you're doing is in fact actually going to make you some return at the same time while assisting the person that you're actually investing in.
If someone wanted more information about Frasil, how could they find that?
What has been an amazing experience for us at the end of the day, Matt, has been how people have received us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and particularly on Instagram. The followers of those people have just been simply amazing. And I mean, we get all sorts of fabulous feedback, like the lady who told me, Grandma, I like glasses. So all sorts of people come back to me with answers, but it's just been amazing. So it's very easy. You can go to the website. Obviously, we're working on that now because we don't produce corporate websites. We will produce websites over time that actually include people with disabilities in their activities. But in the short term, certainly, the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. Frasil is on LinkedIn, obviously, but mainly on Instagram and on Facebook, where we like to connect with the people whom we work for, being people living with disabilities, because that's where they live.
If someone wanted to become an investor in Frasil, how would they be able to do that?
Matt, I would hope that they would be able to go back to you as professional investors. It would be you that they would go back to for all that kind of information.
Thank you, Fran. Fran, it was a pleasure to be able to interview you today, and thank you for joining us.
No, actually, it was my pleasure. Thank you, Matt. I really enjoyed the opportunity to actually tell people about Frasil, something I'm enormously proud of, and I couldn't be happier to invite people in to join me on the last part of the journey. So thank you very much.